What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Cure. Today we're going to have a short little episode, and we're going to be talking about S.G. Lewis's new EP titled Dawn. S.G. Lewis is a British singer and producer who has been on the rise over the last few years or so. He is most traditionally known for putting out very nice poppy dancehall tracks, maybe with some lo-fi inspirations on them as well. And while he can sing himself, he often has a lot of nice other features from other good vocal acts that he very decisively adds to these very nice instrumentals that he often puts together. They are typically very upbeat, really nice to dance to, really great vibes, and I really recommend him if you haven't listened to him yet. This is his third or fourth EP, I believe. He's dropped a few over the last few years and a lot of really great singles as well, a lot of really great remixes. This new EP, Dawn, has 6 tracks and is about 21 minutes long. It has 2 singles that were released prior, and it really, plays onto this traditional upbeat, popular, lo-fi, EDM, drum and bass vibe that S.G. Lewis has put together for himself over the last few years. We certainly have no new groundbreaking styles here. We have a lot of tracks that we've heard similar things to countless number of times from different electronic producers, although S.G. Lewis kind of stands out with sometimes the grooviness of his instrumentals, the ability to dance, and especially with his own voice. I think he particularly sings well over his own tracks, something other producers aren't necessarily known for sometimes. Like I mentioned, this EP is short, and the last 2 or 3 he has released have been even shorter, so this is really his most substantial output yet, although he has released a lot of singles and things like that, so it is certainly concise. I think all of these new songs are fairly unique in some way, although none of them are unique on a greater sphere, although they are maybe unique from one another. This first track, Blue, is a very upbeat and charismatic opener. Very spot on when I think of S.G. Lewis and the type of music that I would probably hear from him on a release like this. We have a ton of really unique, awesome instrumental sounds, a lot of really cool ambient sound, and a very untraceable song pattern that stays unique all the way throughout. In very traditional, EDM electronic fashion, we do have, some lyrics on here about, love and loss and the future and the past, and nothing extremely substantial in that sense, but it does do great things for the song. I don't think these are any you have to listen to very closely. I think the lyrics can certainly appeal to any type of listener, and that's an important theme of this kind of music. So, very traditional lyrical themes here, and it's going to pretty much stay that way throughout on the rest of these tracks. There is a really awesome slowed reverb drop about 3 minutes into this track with some really manipulated lyrics, and I think it adds to the spectrum of things going on here on this first track. It's certainly one of the more unique ones that we're going to hear. Throwaway is next up with Clara, and it is a really great immediate change of pace with a little bit slower, much softer instrumental. Everything on here is obviously very synthetic in nature, most of the drums, most of the melodies and things like that, so that's pretty much a rule of thumb for most of these songs, but we have an absolutely beautiful feature here that fits onto this track perfectly. A ton of really nice ambient synth chords. We have very classical lyrical themes. Again, here I think the strongest part of this song is the front half, because we have some pretty nice verses, and you get your first couple listens of this hook and this post hook, which are really nice. But unfortunately, you have to listen to that hook many times throughout the rest of the song, and we lose a little bit of that lyrical diversity that we got on the front end. Rest is a decent interlude of sorts, and I think the name of the song really kind of plays into that theme. It is a lot shorter. It's a decently groovy little lo-fi beat. Nothing extremely special, and there's really not a ton going on, but it's decent in its own right. It's kind of a nice break in that regard. Overdose is an interesting track because of how Phil Collins it is. We have an extremely 80s, Phil Collins instrumental with awesome, a lot more legitimate sounding, really tom-focused drum kits, some really upbeat keys on the melody, and a flute included. So a really pretty instrumental on this, and not a bad feature once again from H-O-N-N-E, Hone, whoever this is. He has a great voice, and I like this one quite a bit as well. But Flames with Rule is probably the most innovative and experimental track on this album. We have another really great feature that provides a little bit more of a dance hall vibe. We have a darker, faster pace, a lot more serious instrumental on this, and tons of room for experimentation with a pretty legit drop and a lot of other crazy sounds as well. We have a lot of work from Ruel on this feature here, with a lot more than just verses and a hook. We have a lot of really diverse pre-hooks and vocal samples and a ton of different types of voices going into this, all of which sounds like him, and it really adds to this already pretty interesting instrumental. We have a real nice classic drop on this song with a pretty nice synth arpeggiator. Again, nothing entirely innovative, but it is certainly a great song in its own right. And this song is just especially groovy as well. S.G. Lewis finds a way to incorporate these really intoxicating bass lines into all of these tracks that keep them from being too trappy or too slow or too serious, and I really like that about a lot of these songs. And Easy Loving You is the last track on this thing with Camille, and unfortunately it's a bit of a weaker closer, although she is a decent feature in here, and S.G. Lewis sings a little bit as well. They pair fairly well together. The instrumental just really doesn't do too much, although it does work its way up throughout the song. There's not a ton going on lyrically, and this song is probably even less innovative and more closer to form to some of these very regular traditional EDM tracks we've heard in the past, and this one doesn't even really have a punchline. So not an incredible closer, but thankfully a lot of the songs before it are not half bad. So I like this thing. I've heard a good bit of S.G. Lewis's musical library, and I think this EP is certainly not too innovative for him in any particular way. There are some great instrumentals on it and some really cool features, although a lot of these songs are similar to things he has released in the past, and maybe other artists have released as well. Although I do think he has a particular groove to a lot of his songs that I like quite a bit, and keeps them from being too serious, and that shows on a lot of these tracks. He is still very talented, and this is a nice little run through from him. We have a good bit of variety here with a few different types of features, a few different types of songs, and a decent interlude. Obviously, this is not a very long piece of work, and S.G. Lewis does not release that much content very often, so we don't have a ton of that going on here for us. But we do have pretty spot-on production throughout, I think, especially with him producing all of this music pretty much on his own. He was very detail-oriented on it. I think everything is mixed well. Everything sounds really great. A ton of really nice instrumentals and instrument selection throughout all of these songs. A lot of different interesting styles throughout, and that's certainly a high point. And as far as creativity goes, I think this thing is slightly lacking, only because I've heard a lot of this kind of music before, although a lot of the instrumentals are fairly interesting in their own right. So thank you guys so much for watching. Are you familiar with, or have you listened to any music from S.G. Lewis yet? I really recommend that you check him out if you're a fan of, upbeat EDM music, music to kick back to. I think he's certainly a great artist in that sphere. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more album reviews, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.